Wanda sat within the silent bones of a house that was more a memory than a structure. The air here was heavy, saturated with the scent of dried lavender and the static of a heart that refused to stop breaking. She was the architect of this sanctuary, a fortress built from the raw materials of her own sorrow. To her, every brick was a tear shed, every window a glimpse into a life that should have been. She did not seek conflict. She sought only the right to be left alone within the ruins of her own soul.
I love you. Remember when we laughed? Why did you leave me?
Across the threshold of reality, Albus moved with the weary grace of a man who had spent a century extinguishing fires. He walked through a forest that tasted of copper and ozone, the telltale signs of a world being bent to a singular will. He saw the distortion in the sky, a bruised purple and red horizon, and felt a pang of profound pity. He knew the weight of such power, and he knew the inevitable collapse that followed when one tried to hold back the tide of mortality with nothing but a wand and a wish. Wanda's solitude was breached not by a footfall, but by a whisper. A woman stood in the corner of the room, her presence like a shadow cast by a dying candle. Agatha leaned against a phantom mantelpiece, her eyes glittering with a predatory wisdom. "He comes to take it, you know," Agatha murmured, her voice a silk ribbon around a throat. "The old man with the silver tongue. He thinks your grief is a crime. He thinks your children are nothing more than a glitch in the grand design he's sworn to protect."
He is gone. Let the anger in. It is the only way you survive this.
Simultaneously, miles away but only a heartbeat apart, Agatha appeared to Albus as a flickering vision in the mist. She did not look like a witch. She looked like a victim, trembling and pale. "She is consuming everything, Headmaster." The specter lied, her voice trembling. "She doesn't just want her world back. She wants to erase ours to pay for it. Her grief has become a mouth, and it is hungry." Albus sighed, the weight on his shoulders doubling. He believed he was walking toward a monster to save a world. When they finally met, the air between them curdled. Wanda stood on the porch of her impossible home, her fingers twitching with the chaotic rhythm of her heartbeat. To her eyes, Albus was draped in the cold, judgmental light of an inquisitor. She saw in his hand not a tool of magic, but a gavel. "You have no right to judge what I build to survive," she cried out, her voice cracking the very sky above them. Red energy began to spill from her palms, painting the grass in hues of anger. Albus raised his wand, not in malice, but in a desperate attempt to anchor the reality that was fraying around them. Through the lens Agatha had placed over his perception, Wanda's tears looked like molten lead, and her cries sounded like the roar of a collapsing star. "I do not wish to be your enemy, my dear," he called out, his voice booming with the authority of the greater good. "But I cannot allow the foundation of existence to be sacrificed for the comfort of a single heart." A dome of golden light erupted from his wand, clashing against the crimson tide.
"I do not wish to be your enemy, my dear."
The clash was not merely magical, it was a collision of philosophies. Wanda fought for the individual's right to feel, to mourn, and to reclaim. Albus fought for the collective's right to stability, order, and the natural flow of time. As the red and gold energies ground against each other, the landscape began to splinter. It was in these cracks that Albus noticed something wrong. A third color, a sharp, intrusive violet that hummed with a frequency that didn't belong to Wanda's raw chaos or his own refined charms. Wanda felt it too. The grief she had been weaponizing felt suddenly hijacked, pulled by invisible strings toward a purpose that wasn't hers. She looked past Albus, seeing the world behind him ripple like a reflection in a disturbed pond. And there, standing atop a hill of discarded memories, Agatha Harkness watched them with the delighted expression of a playwright watching her actors bleed for the first time. The violet light was hers, a tether she had used to sew their perceptions together into a tapestry of hate. It's a masterpiece, isn't it? Agatha's voice echoed in both their minds, stripping away the illusion she had spun. The architecture of grief is so much sturdier when it's reinforced with a little righteous fury. I didn't have to do much, really. I just told the mother she was being hunted, and told the hero he was the hunter. You two did the rest of the work for me. She laughed, a sound like dry leaves skittering over a grave, as she began to draw the excess energy from their conflict into herself.
All you fought for, all you are, it's mine now.
The realization hit Wanda with the force of a physical blow. Her anger vanished, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. She looked at the old man before her and saw not an executioner, but a mirror. Another soul who had lost too much and tried to fix too much. Albus lowered his wand, the golden light fading into a soft, apologetic glow. He saw the young woman not as a threat, but as a person drowning in a sea he had once navigated himself. They were no longer combatants. They were victims of the same cruel trick. Agatha's triumph was short-lived. The power she had harvested was built on a foundation of lies, and as Wanda and Albus reached a silent truce, that foundation crumbled. The purple tethers snapped, recoiling back toward Agatha like whipped snakes. You underestimated the nature of grief, Agatha, Wanda said, her voice now calm and terrifyingly steady. It makes us vulnerable, yes, but it also makes us recognize our own kind. With a shared gesture of dismissal, the two magic users watched as the shadows swallowed the manipulator whole.
You cannot deceive the Earth.
They stood together in the ruins of the illusion. The house was gone, replaced by a quiet meadow where the sun actually felt warm. We spend our lives trying to build walls against the pain, Albus remarked softly, tucking his wand away. But perhaps the only way to truly live is to let the wind blow through the gaps. Wanda nodded, looking out at the horizon. She hadn't found her children, and he hadn't found his peace. But for the first time in a long time, they weren't building. They were simply being.
Please subscribe for more.